Welcome to True Spoken. I'm Joe Statzer. True Spoken is presented to you by the Butler County Republican Party and presented by True Spoken Productions. You know, Butler County is ground zero for conservatism in Ohio, really the Midwest. Butler County is the cornerstone of democracy and truth in the Midwest, maybe in the nation. Let me give you some examples. Every office in Butler County is represented by a true conservative Republican, except for one judgeship, and it's been that way for over 20 years. In fact, back in 2004, both CNN and USA Today had to reluctantly admit that Butler County, conservative Butler County, was the reason that George W. Bush won his second term as president. Why? Well, Bush won Ohio, and those electoral votes in Ohio put him over the top. Why did he win Ohio? Butler County, along with Warren County, Claremont County, and Hamilton County, when Hamilton County used to vote like us. Those four counties put Bush over the top, particularly Butler County, that had the highest margin of vote win, the highest plurality. In fact, our leader at the time, Chairman Carlos Todd of the Butler County Republican Party, a true leader and a great gentleman, said at the time that Butler County was really the bastion of conservatism in Ohio and the Midwest. You know, Butler County is very conservative. It still stays that way. In 2016 and in 2020, Butler County presented Donald Trump, our president, with the highest plurality of win total in Ohio among any county, by far. You know, freedom is so important to us that we stand on it. We believe it. We don't just talk it, we live it here. It's like Ronald Reagan once said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children through their bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them for them to do the same. Yeah, that's true spoken. We're fearlessly protecting our freedom, our republic, our Constitution, and our conservative values. And in doing so, we do it in a rational and a reasonable manner because freedom is rational, it's reasonable, it's true. We do it through example, not attack. Through understanding the truth, never having to twist a fact. It's like John Adams once said, facts are stubborn things. We don't bow to our oppressors, nor do we stoop to their tactics. We stand on truth. True spoken because the idea of freedom can and will defend itself. You know, those who defend socialism have never really understood it. You know, we don't have to be more like Denmark or Norway or Sweden. We just have to be more like America and Americans. We need to fearlessly stand for freedom. As the Bible states, the truth will surely set us free. So here at True Spoken, we're fearlessly and proudly presenting the patriotic and strong conservative values of Butler County and the Butler County Republican Party. You know, as we're filming right now, it's the first episode and it's Flag Day. And to celebrate Flag Day, there's no better way to do so than to have a real true patriotic American recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's take a listen as John Wayne recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. What a better way to hear those words than from John Wayne, a true patriotic American. True Spoken will be many things, but a lot of it will just be discussing freedom, truth, democracy. And we'll have many guests on the show, from local leaders to state leaders to even national leaders, true conservatives on True Spoken. Consider our local office holders here in Butler County, our commissioners, our Butler County commissioners, who have the lowest tax rate among the highest bond ratings you can get, and we're debt-free even after a pandemic. That's leadership. A terrific prosecutor's office that enforces justice fairly and wisely. How about our clerk of courts, who's returned over $12 million to the general fund over the last 11 years because of being a good steward of your tax dollars? Consider our treasurer, our auditor, and recorder, who have trimmed their budgets over the last several years because they protect your tax money. Our coroner, who's had to face an epidemic of drugs, but has done so in an incredible professional manner and professional office. Or consider our engineer's office, who secures grants and through some good funding measures finds a way to make Butler County move. You know, we keep growing, but we keep moving. And we do so with the bypass or the roundabouts, clever ways to keep Butler County's transportation the best in the state of Ohio. So there's our office holders. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot one. No, I didn't. He's our guest tonight. You can't forget Sheriff Richard K. Jones, a true rock star. He'll be our guest in just a moment. Welcome, Sheriff. Glad to have you.
Good to be here, man.
Hey, I have known you for a long time, but it's great to have you on camera here with our True Spoken Butler County Republican Party webcast.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much. And just want to ask you a few questions more about you, because I think most people that's watching this knows Sheriff Jones, and they know what you stand for. You know, they know you're a tough sheriff. They know you say what you think. So kind of get to know you a little bit. You know, you're like a rock star in Butler County. I have been to rallies with you, at Trump rallies. I've been to big rallies with you where you come out first and you speak and the crowd goes nuts. They were louder for you than they were for Giuliani, for some local office holders. You were just a star. How do you handle that popularity? I mean, does that feel like it's kind of unreal or surreal for you, or just normal?
I handle it quite well till I go home.
Okay.
And then my wife beats me down. It's terrible. And take out the garbage, get in here, you're not the sheriff at home, blah, blah, blah. I take it like most men. I do what she says. Now, I do spend time in detention. I don't look like the kind of guy that would be in husband detention, but I am. I've been married like 100 years.
Okay.
I don't look 100 years old, but I've been married a long, long time. And if my wife was here, she'd tell you the same thing. And somebody asked her once, have you ever thought about divorcing him? She said, no, the pain is much better if I stay married to him. For him.
Well, you know, I know your wife a little bit, and she sounds like a tougher customer than I thought. You know, didn't know she could be that tough. So that keeps you humbled, huh?
It keeps me humble in a lot of things. But when you grow up poor, like we both did, we both grew up poor. And when you grow up poor, it makes you look at things a little different. When you go to the grocery store and you have to have one of those little clickers, and you can't go over that price. For these young people watching this, it's a little clicker like that adds up the price. There's nothing worse than getting to the checkout and you don't have enough money. It's very embarrassing. You have to put stuff back. And you've not lived till you've had your utilities cut off. Your phone cut off, your utilities cut off, been behind in your payments. That makes you humble in itself, makes you look at things different. And I learned to look at things a lot different. I don't forget where I come from. I learned how as a young kid when my parents got their utilities cut off. And I learned how to flush the toilet without running water. Most people think that toilets are electrical run. They're not. You get a little bucket of water out of your hot water tank, you pour it in the toilet flushes. See, I teach you stuff. But you never forget a fan being in your upstairs hallway when you were a kid and the fan blowing out. And the reason the fan blows out, it's in the window, it's a box fan, blows out. Then when you open the other windows in the house, it sucks air in. But it's hot air, it's warm air, but it's air. My dad had an air condition, a window air condition. And the reason he did is because he worked. He bought money in, 5 kids. And made it tough just to have lunch money. Utilities cut off, old raggedy cars, not having everything that everybody else had didn't hurt me, made me a better person. And then when you get something, you feel pretty good about it. When you can go to the grocery store and put things in your grocery cart and not have to look at the price, you think you've hit the Motherlode, man. And you have. And I guess you can still say Motherlode. Mother's a good thing. And
right connotation. I think
it's
okay there.
They change words all the time.
I understand. We never know what's correct anymore.
No. So
it's all changed.
I always apologize, like I'm doing right now. I want to apologize to anybody I'm about to offend. I want to apologize now. And
how do you feel about this cancel culture? How do you feel about being woke and all these things?
I don't even pay any attention to it. I am what I am. I say what I think. And you can't keep up with all the changes. This is okay now, that's not okay. You can say this, you can't say that. I've into my 5th term, and I'm the longest sitting sheriff since 1953. That's a long time in Butler County. And I'm healthy. I plan on at least trying to stay 10 more years, as long as my health holds out and I still have fun. I hire smart people, I pay them well. But again, you don't forget where you come from. And when you start out at the bottom, you work your way up. I started in the prison business in 1975 or 76, the beginning of 76, right out of the Army. And I thought, my father was a policeman in Hamilton. He worked in the prison system. My mother worked in the juvenile system. And the last place I wanted to go to work was in the criminal justice system, because we almost starved to death. So my father told me, come try the prison out. If you don't like it, quit. They go around the classroom. What do you want to do? I want to be a policeman. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. Nobody says, I want to work in a prison. I've always wanted to work in a prison, maybe a jail. No, they don't say that. So I was there, and it was so bad. My first 2 weeks, I went back and seen my recruiter and asked him, could he get me back in? But you remember where you come from through the ranks, and how you struggle with your payments and having things. And then when you get to a position like I am right now, it helps you manage people. I have 1,000 prisoners, give or take a few different counts every day, roughly 500 employees. My payroll's $1 million every 2 weeks. So it's an expensive endeavor. We're one of the largest law enforcement agencies. We are the largest in Butler County, and we're the 8th largest sheriff's office of 88 in Ohio. And you can't do it without money. People have to get paid. Prisoners have to get fed. Right. So it's complicated how this all works. But again, I hire smart people and I promote them. And we have employees that get shot. We have employees that get hurt. It's very dangerous. And I spend a little time in court. But again, when I get on the stage, like for Trump rallies or any rallies that I'm asked to go to, I prepare this much. I don't prepare. It's easy to remember the truth. The truth will set you free. And I speak from the heart. And I've done it long enough. I can almost answer anything. I have a sense of humor.
That's for sure.
A lot of people don't know that. I spent 2 years in the 1st grade, and I always tell people it was to help the slow kids. They kept me back, so my job was to help the slow kids.
That's awfully nice.
Hey, it was pretty nice of me. That's the way I
giver.
seen it.
Yep.
My attention span was 30 minutes. My attention span's not much better now. I hope we can get this done in less than 30 minutes.
My job to keep you focused.
Yeah, keep me focused.
And I'm not that good at it either. So
I can remember standing up, looking out the window in the 2nd grade, and my dog would be waiting, Princess. And she would help me hunt snakes and salamanders and tadpoles. And I was thinking, what the heck am I doing here? And the teacher saying, Rick, sit down. And I'd go sit down. A few minutes later, I'd be up at the window again. And so my staff meetings are very short. And but I am very proud of the organization that I have. I'm very fortunate. It's a very large group of men and women, and we all work good together. And it's very dangerous. And but again, I hire smart people and I let them work.
Right. Well, as somebody who works in the law enforcement and the court system during the day, I know firsthand you have a great staff. I mean, they're second to none. But you went back in time there for a little while, talking about your father, who was in law enforcement.
Yes.
When did you first know that you really wanted to be in law enforcement?
When I was in grade school, my father, it was bring your parent to school to tell about their job. And I can remember being in 1st or 2nd grade, looking at the little window in the door. And it was my father's time to come and speak. And there he was, bent down. He was tall. And he was bent down looking in the window. And everybody's looking at the window because he's in his police uniform. And he opens the door and comes in. When you look at your father, you think they're like 6'6", but he wasn't 6'6". He's probably 6'1". 220, 230 pounds, dark skin, handsome man, but a strong man. And he come in the room with his uniform on, and everybody's all Google-eyed because they love the police. And he come in, and then he took us all outside in his cruiser and called in some license plate checks and let us look at the sirens and turned them on, the lights. This is in grade school. And I knew then that this would be my life. I just knew it. Since then, that grade school is still in existence. I went back to the grade school, the same grade school, parked my car where he parked his car, and got on the radio, made some communications, walked into the school and asked the principal, could I just walk down, identify myself, and went to the same classroom. I know it sounds different, but again, I don't forget where I come from, and that's my roots. I can also remember getting up out of bed early in the morning to use the restroom, still dark, in my father's car. I looked out the window, he's parked, his Hamilton City Police car parked out front here in Ohio, and he's walking up the sidewalk, going into the porch and into the house, and I'm there, and I'm in shock because he's got blood all over his white shirt, his uniform shirt, and his face. And he goes, shh, don't wake your mom. And he goes in, cleans the blood off his face, puts a clean shirt on, comes back out, gives me a hug, and I can smell the Menon aftershave that he had on. And that's the aftershave that I use. Smells, taste, and things in your life, I knew then and there. It sends chills down my spine telling you this story. But everybody has a story, and that's my story. So that's how it really started for me.
That's a great story. You know, and I've known you for over 20 years.
Yes, sir.
When you were chief deputy, before you were sheriff, you haven't changed. Your notoriety has changed. Your fame has changed. You've become, like I said, kind of a rock star here, and a lot of people know you. But you're still the same guy that walks in with a joke sometimes and just kind of captures the room and just talks like you're like anybody else.
I go in, I can go to a fancy restaurant, which I don't go very often. I can go to the Waffle House, I can go to McDonald's, I can go to the local mom and pop shops, which I like going in to support, and I can sit down and talk to everybody in there. I can go in and have pictures made with everybody in there no matter where I go. That's what I'm supposed to do. People don't get a chance to see people they see on TV. And when I'm on TV, I'm doing press conferences, or when I'm out talking to the public, or when I'm out campaigning. I get elected every 4 years. It's my job to get elected or not. And eventually I'll have to go home. Either I get unelected, which is like getting fired, and somebody else gets more votes than you. And so I say what I think, and it's pretty easy to remember that. So when I'm speaking right now, it's my life history, and it's what I do every day.
We haven't rehearsed this.
No,
we're just talking.
It'd be very canned, and I don't do well like that. I do better speaking like I speak, and I use words. Sometimes I'll say y'all and howdy, and this big mustache and this cowboy hat fools people. They think because if you have this stuff on, you're not real smart. For some reason, if you talk like this, people think that. But they would think very, very wrong. I have a master's degree from Xavier University. I don't tell people that because I want them to think that I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I get more done that way. When I say y'all and howdy, I have a bachelor's degree from Wilmington. I've wrote a book, co-authored a book entitled Behind Bars. I've been on every national TV in the United States, CNN, Fox News, other news outlets in other countries. The funniest one I was in.
I was going to ask you. You've been on a lot. What's your most memorable?
The most memorable was when I was on a live radio show in England, and they were interviewing me, and they were asking me that America has an obsession with guns because they think we're a bunch of cowboys. And I said, no, we don't have an obsession with it. They said, yeah, you guys all like guns. And I said, you know the reason we like guns? They said, no. I said, now this is live, but I know my history. I said, because of you. I said, the American Revolution. I said, you don't remember it? I said, but that's because you lost. And I said, we have guns because all we had were squirrel rifles. And you came in with your fancy army, your big ships, General Cornwallis, I think it was, and you had all these famous generals and cannons and ships, and we had squirrel rifles. And we sunk all your ships. We sent you home. And it's in our Constitution that that would never happen again. And I said, you came back in the War of 1812, burned our White House down, and tried it one more time. It's not an obsession. We have guns in our Constitution. We have a right to protect ourselves. We will never go that again, and they won't take our guns away. I won't be any part of that. It's our constitutional right to have and bear arms and to protect your family. And there's others in this country that believe that you shouldn't be able to have weapons. And you shouldn't be able to have shotguns. You shouldn't be able to have handguns. Some of these big cities, they already have the strictest gun laws you can get, and they have the most killings. And the poor people that live there can't even protect themselves. But it's to the point right now, people want their concealed carry, which is what you can get here in Ohio. And we have it.
Yeah, we can't even get an appointment. People can't get an appointment to get their conceal and carry right now.
It's because people are scared to death. And we have a president that wants to take our weapons away, and his party, the Democrat Party, that not all Democrats. There's some that will not. Manchin, I think, is from West Virginia.
Right.
He won't ever support that because he'll get unelected. And several of the Democrats will not. And that's because people like to hunt. They like to have their weapons. And it's the times we live. Is there a problem? We have mass shootings, but it's not the guns, it's the people. Right. And these other places that you're not allowed to have weapons, so they weaponize, they have knives, they have swords, they make bombs. They use their cars as weapons. You aren't going to stop it. And
criminals aren't going to give their guns
up.
No.
You go to my jail and ask how many have gun permits in there. None of them. But they all have guns. So it's the way it is. But people ask me all the time, am I a constitutional sheriff? I support the Constitution. And I am sworn in under the U.S. Constitution and the state Constitution.
You stand for your oath. Yep.
And if you want to know what kind of person I am, all you got to do is ask me and look at my history. If you want to know the future, just look behind your back and look at the history. That's the future. Pretty simple.
It is. You know, I believe, and I've said this, and I know you believe this, you know, we had that Second Amendment put in there just in case some president come along someday like we have now who wants to take it away. And so I know you stand strong on the Second Amendment and you stand strong on our rights. When you see Portland and Seattle, and you know those sheriffs are having to deal with that, what do you think? What would you do? What advice would you like to give them if you could?
There's nothing they can do. They're not allowed. The courts, they're all messed up. The people that control the police, they hire police chiefs that do what the bureaucrats want. They fire the good ones and run them off, and they bring in little puppets. And the sheriffs are elected. They don't have bosses. You know who the sheriff's bosses are? The people that hire and fire them. Pretty simple. My boss are the people. I don't have any bosses other than the people. And
well, I should mention right now that you are the highest vote getter every time you run, every 4 years, and again this past year.
I get
highest vote getter again
in the general election. I get crossover votes. One time, and you'll see it a lot during this last election. You'll see Sheriff Jones signs in their yard. Then you'll see Biden signs right next to it. Those are the Democrats that are voting for me. And the same way it was with Hillary. You'll see Sheriff Jones, and then you'll see Hillary signs right next to it. Most of the unions usually endorse me, and I've always belonged to the unions. But I support regular people, rich people, regular people. There's a lot more regular people than there are rich people. You know,
I have a longtime friend, I think I mentioned this earlier before we started, who she was telling me that, you know, we don't agree on most politics. And she mostly votes, if not always, for Democrats, except, and I said something about Sheriff Jones, and she said, no, I vote for Sheriff Jones. I like him being my sheriff. You have a lot of that kind of crossover.
That's not uncommon. My brother, who lives in Florida, he's a Democrat, him and his wife. And I have family members that are Democrats, family members that are Republicans. It's a free country. You can vote for who you like. I support the police, and I support Republican candidates. I am a Republican. I have fun with it, but I say what I think. I don't always get along with people just because they're Republicans. They're in office. I don't always agree with them, but I tell them that. When I was on CNN, and they were asking me, when Trump was running the first time, you're a Trump supporter. I said, yes, I am. This is live on CNN. Enemy channel for me, because they don't like me, but I'm not afraid to go on there. And the lady that was interviewing me said, well, what don't you agree with Trump on? I said, pretty simple. I said, Senator McCain. He said, Senator McCain was not a war hero. I said, Senator McCain was a war hero. I disagree with Mr. Trump at that point. I said, now that I got that out of the way, Senator McCain should resign. He's one of the worst senators we have and have ever had in the whole country. Just because he's a war hero doesn't make him a great senator. I said, he's terrible. He should quit. I wish he'd resign today. I said, but I disagree with Trump on that part. And he was. And there's lots of senators, just because they're Republicans, don't make them good senators.
But you're honest about it.
Yeah, Mitt Romney, he's like Mr. Rogers. Who would vote for that guy? Couldn't ask for a nicer guy.
We agreed on that.
A more clean
Right.
guy. But he's terrible. It wasn't just President Trump. He don't like anything the rest of us stand for. But was it Utah where he lives? They like him, I guess, and they vote for him.
I think we were holdouts. You and me and a few others in Butler County with
when he
Romney.
Came,
we just didn't think he was the right guy.
When he came here, the only reason anybody went to go see him speak is because he brought Kid Rock with him. And Kid Rock, who wouldn't want to go see Kid Rock? Nobody wanted to see Mitt Romney. I still don't want to see him. So just because somebody said they're a Republican doesn't mean they're good. So you need to follow. And when you're talking to people, you need to find out who these people are, a little bit about them. You can find anything. You can Google me and find anything out on me. When President Trump got elected the first time, I was one of the electoral voters. There was 318 in the United States. I think there was 18 in Ohio. And I was one of those. I was very fortunate and very proud. But it's been a great time. The economy was great. The stock market was great. People worked. These other countries respected us. We don't seem to have much of that going right now.
You were one of the first, if not the first, I remember as far as an office holder, that came out for Trump. Back in 2016, I still remember the phone call. Where you pretty much called me and said, hey, do you want to jump in? I need somebody to help run this thing. And we did the local campaign for Trump and a few others. Yeah,
there was 18 people running, and he was one of 18, I believe. And I went through all of them. I mean, I was with Trump in the beginning, and every month another one would fall out and fall out and fall out. And I had a couple friends say, Trump said this, he said that, he's done. And his points just kept going up. And the reason is, you may not always agree with Trump, but he says what he thinks, he fights for America, and he wants to make America number one. What's wrong with that? His cabinet members were smart. If he fired them, good. If he fired generals, good. You can't let the generals run your country. Eisenhower was a general, and he said, you can't let the Pentagon have control of the government. They will spend you broke with all the things that they want. So you got to fire generals. Abraham Lincoln fired 5 generals during the Civil War, and that includes McCulloch, that he hired twice. And he finally got Grant, who a lot of people died, but the way you win wars is it's pretty simple. You kill more of them than they kill of you. That's what generals say, and it's correct.
General Patton's a great line.
That's how you win. You kill more than the enemy kills of you. It's a cruel world, and war is not fun. The way you prevent war is by preparing for war. And right now, I'm just a local sheriff, but I know my history and I know what I got to do, and I try to live by it every day.
I got a couple more things I want to ask you as we wind
Yes.
down. But since you're here, and I have a lot of respect. I've worked
Sure.
with you on campaigns. I got to feel like I'm kind of part of you. So let me have this here.
Ah.
And there we go. So I want to make sure I'm with you here on this.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a cowboy
No, it
hat
is.
or
I got
not.
this in Wyoming.
Okay.
When I was like 20 years old. So
Okay,
I've had
I
this
never
on.
see Wyoming sheriffs wear hats like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do.
Hey,
but I think you're an actual. You're
Hey,
more Western.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no.
I know.
Is that not good enough, Cowboy?
No, that
doesn't
not.
work?
No,
That
that
doesn't
would.
work?
But you keep on thinking that.
I know. Actually, when I got it,
I know
you know what was
sheriffs-
popular? Smokey and the Bandit was popular. This is what Burt Reynolds wore. So that's how this hat came along.
Yeah,
right here.
but I'm just saying.
I can take it off.
No,
It's not
no,
good.
no,
I like
hey,
the hat.
Hey, but I'm just saying, all my friends that wear cowboy hats, that's not a cowboy hat.
That's not a cowboy hat.
But if you believe it,
got it right in
hey,
Wyoming. I guess
he
Wyoming
believes
is
it.
not Wyoming, Cincinnati.
Hey.
Wyoming.
Oh,
okay.
that's where you're thinking. Wyoming, Cincinnati.
No, I got it out
Oh,
west.
okay.
I got it out west.
Those sheriffs
so-
out west, some of them got mustaches out to here, cowboy hats that are huge, and they wear real tight blue jeans, and they get on me because I wear loose blue jeans, but I can't have my mustache out to here. And I can't wear tight
Well, do you want to make a
blue jeans.
pitch? Where do you get that? Is there a certain place I need to find
No,
that hat?
these hats
You get
are
special order?
they're special.
I understand.
And they're
It would be.
special.
I
When
understand.
I go to the sheriff's get-togethers from all over the country, a couple of us, I let my mustache grow long, and we have sheriff competition with mustaches and hats. When you fly with hats like these, they're very tough to fly with because you got to hold them.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't fit up in the bin. And if you have cowboy boots on, which I have nice cowboy boots, they're very nice boots. And when I travel, you got to take them off and to go through the metal detectors. And I have ostrich quill boots that are second to none. My wife thinks they cost $200, but they actually cost $500. So don't tell. She thought $200 was kind of high. So, but they look good.
No, I understand. I got a couple of things. Where do you see our country going? Where do you see us? Where do you see us heading out to? I mean,
eventually,
is it bright, good, or
it's not good right now. We've had worse times, so it will change. The American people will only take so much. They'll get the pitchforks out and they'll throw these people out, whether you like it or not. And with this pandemic that we're just now getting over, they've tried to break the American spirit, and they're still trying to break the American spirit. They're trying to make you do things that you shouldn't have to do. They closing the schools and giving you money to stay home and not work. Now the restaurants are open, the businesses are open, people won't come back to work. Other countries are not scared of us now. And it's good that they respect us, but they don't respect us. President Biden is probably a very nice man, and probably a guy you could sit down and have a beer with and laugh and joke, but he's not the person you would want to run your company. He's not the person you'd want to run anything, let alone the country. I feel sorry for him. I believe he's feeble, and I believe during
is
the
it puppet maybe, or just something they set up there?
He does. You can just see it by looking at him. And to my Democratic friends, I'm not making this up. I know you're happy that President Trump is gone, but you should be very careful what you wish for. Gas is $3.10 today, and it finally got over $3, and it'll get to $4. And you keep being happy with that, and you keep being happy with the interest rate, and you keep being happy with not being able to buy a house and paying all this money for your house, and inflation. And we got to have a strong military. We got to have strong police. We got to have law enforcement.
Absolutely.
We got to have schools. We got to have smart kids. That's our future.
And the answer to immigration.
And we got to stop people sneaking into our country. We're going to have another 9/11. We got to stop a lot of things. And there's no encouragement at all. And we got to stop all this inner fighting, racial tension. President Biden said he was going to make it better. He's made it worse. And some of this, I don't know the end, how it's going to go. But your question, that was a long answer I gave. I believe our country is going to recover, but we're going to be in for some dark times here.
Now, I know you're keeping your powder dry, so to speak, on the Senate and the governor races coming up in 22. Should Trump run again? Or, I mean, maybe that's not you to say, but
listen,
do you see him running, or one of his family, or somebody else?
I was in Kentucky. I was in Indiana over the weekend. I was in Columbus. I see more Trump signs and flags on boats than I did during the election. New ones. And it's the funniest thing. I've never seen that in any other election. People take their signs down, they put them up. They still got them up in their yards. Nice neighborhoods. Is he going to run in 2024? Who knows? In politics, that's a lifetime.
It is a
I'm
lifetime.
more concerned with 2022. I guess it's the House races.
The House races, the
22.
Senate races,
Yeah,
governor races.
And the appointments to the Supreme Court.
Okay. Well, thank you. I want to ask one more thing before
Yes,
we
sir.
get off. Just something that we don't know about you. You gave us some things earlier about your
Sure.
degree, and you are a very savvy person. I've always been very impressed with just your knowledge about things in history. Something that we don't know about Sheriff Richard K. Jones. What would it be?
Something you don't know about Sheriff Jones. Pretty simple. I like lots of music, but I like classical music.
Really?
I like, which fools people. I like country music. I like classical music. I like to listen to Dean Martin. I
One of my favorites. I think we talked about that
Frank
one,
Sinatra.
Yep.
I've got the songs downloaded. But I like stone hard country music too. But I listen to Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra more than I do most songs. And people ask me what kind of cigars I smoke. Very, very big ring gauge cigars. I smoke one a week. And I V-cut the cigar. People that smoke cigars know what that means. I V-cut it as a blunt cut. And I had COVID. And during COVID, I smoked a cigar. That's a lung disease.
I know. We were on the phone and you were smoking a cigar.
And here's what I told my wife. If I die from this, don't tell anybody. So I only lost 3 points on my oxygen level. So I live dangerous, but I smoke cigars.
But you live.
I live. I smoke cigars, but not a lot. One a week, and I drink a little bourbon. And I live life. I have fun, but I actually stop and smell the roses, smell flowers. I like the cicadas, but I like to get them in my hand and shake them. They make that noise. And it's just a natural thing. The birds are so fat they can't fly. The fish are laying in the bottom of the water because they're so fat. Fishermen, they won't bite. The spiders around my house are eating good, stuck in the little spider webs. And it's Mother Nature at its best. I don't like them on my windshield, splashing on my windshield.
They bounce pretty hard, yeah.
But listen, those are the things people don't know about me, and they would be shocked.
A little Bach, a little Dino, cigar aficionado.
Hey, that's me. Count
That's
me
Sheriff
in.
Jones. Thank you so much. I mean, I think
you.
people will enjoy this.
Hey.
Appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're our sheriff.
Yep. Thank all of you, and God bless you.